This is Democracy Watch. So, Mark, we've done 50 episodes of this show now, but this is one of the most alarming things that I've seen throughout the entirety of our show together. Obviously, the voters of Ohio just voted to enshrine abortion rights into the Ohio state constitution. But now Republicans in that legislature are claiming that Ohio's new constitutional right to abortion access doesn't repeal the abortion bans that were passed by the legislature. In other words, they're basically just looking to undo the referendum that just passed in their state. So first of all, is this legal?
Of course, it's not legal. Very little of what the Republicans in Ohio propose to do is legal. Every stage of this process, from trying to raise the threshold, that wasn't legal. They lost that. They tried to mess around with fake language in the initiative, and they got caught on some of that too. So they've been doing illegal stuff to try to prevent this initiative from going into effect from start to finish. And the good news is this isn't going to be any more successful than their last efforts.
Well, they've claimed that there was ambiguity in the language. Is there any validity to their claims here? Was there any ambiguity as to what this referendum does, or is this just pure wish casting by Republicans?
How crazy is that, right? These are the folks who were saying, oh, this initiative is so clear. We are going to require voters to confront a description of this that says this is abortion, unlimited. And so, no, of course, this is not unclear. The language is very clear, and the Republicans know it's clear, and they knew it was clear when they were trying to mess around to keep it from going into effect, and when they were messing around, lying about its consequences. So this is crystal clear. What you have is a Republican Party that does not respect the rule of law. The Republican Party does not want this to go into effect because they lost a referendum fair and square. In fact, I would argue they lost the referendum after they cheated some, but they are trying to figure out one way or another to undermine the rule of law again.
Well, Republicans have also said, and this is a quote I'm reading here, to prevent mischief by pro-abortion courts with issue one, Ohio legislators will consider removing jurisdiction from the judiciary. So first, explain what this means and whether they have the legal right to do it.
Okay, first of all, if you looked up disingenuous in the dictionary, saying that the Ohio courts are pro-choice or pro-abortion courts, this is one of the most conservative state Supreme Courts in the country.
Right.
I mean, Brian, what's a stronger word than chutzpah? We need one for the Republicans here. It's lawless is what it is. It is disingenuous, it's lying, and it's lawless. And the fact is that what the Republicans are trying to do here is to strip the courts of Ohio, the anti-choice courts of Ohio, the very conservative pro-gerrymandering courts of Ohio, right? They're trying to strip those courts from being able to implement the plain text of an amendment to their own state constitution. It's absolutely outrageous. It's absolutely disingenuous. It defies chutzpah. It's anti-democratic. Is there anything more I can add to this, Brian? It's absolutely outrageous.
I think that covers it. Well, to that exact point then, if Republican lawmakers do launch any legal challenges to this amendment, it'll likely make its way to the Ohio State Supreme Court. That court, again, to your point, declined, for example, to force the Ohio legislature to redraw maps that they themselves found unconstitutional. And that court has since gotten even more right-wing after the 2022 elections. So is there any worry that they'll actually approve this scheme by Republicans, even though to some degree it would be self-defeating because it would take power out of their own hands, but their own hands are anti-abortion anyway?
Yeah, look, I recommend everyone who wants to know about this court to go to democracydocket.com and read the various cases and articles about what happened in Ohio with redistricting and in the efforts to try to cause this provision not to be included in the state constitution. Because it's been, this is not a liberal court. But that said, like the efforts by conservatives to get the U.S. Supreme Court to adopt the fringe independent state legislature theory and strip judicial review, courts are not quick to strip their own review. The court's going to be conservative, but they don't want to strip their own ability to review laws and to declare them legal or not legal or interpret them. So I think that the reason why the Republicans want to try to strip jurisdiction from the Ohio Supreme Court is because they know even that conservative court will be forced to implement this provision of the state constitution.
And I do want to reiterate for everybody watching right now that if you're not yet signed up for Democracy Docket, please sign up for Democracy Docket. It's the free news outlet Marc founded to focus on everything voting in elections. And there is a ton on Ohio and everything that's happening in Ohio in Democracy Docket right now. The link is right here on this screen. Marc, what happens to abortion rights while this issue is being litigated?
So look, this amendment takes effect in early December, and I expect that there will either be litigation on the side of the pro-choice groups to strike down the current laws immediately upon this taking effect in early December, or we will see some action, some outrageous action by Republicans that will force the case into court. But the fact is that the women of Ohio have suffered long enough under an anti-choice regime there. It is time for this amendment to take effect. We have had enough process. We've had enough efforts by Republicans to undermine it. So I am confident this is going to go into force and into effect in December, and that there'll be aggressive litigation to ensure that.
Okay, and then what is the timeline we can expect here for a resolution to that litigation?
Oh, I think that resolution for that litigation will be in a matter of days or weeks. You know, we have seen judges able to move very, very quickly when you have these kinds of needs to implement new provisions. Here, there is no ambiguity what this law allows. I'm sorry, what this constitutional provision allows and what it doesn't allow. So I would hope you would see courts move with by the end of the year for sure to implement this provision.
On a similar topic, I know that this was enshrining abortion rights in Ohio state constitution. The other referendum question was legalizing marijuana, but that wasn't an addition to Ohio state constitution. Would Republicans be able to attack that second question on the ballot?
Look, I think Republicans think they can attack everything on the ballot. Let's just review some of the things that they've thought that they could attack. They, as you point out, they didn't implement the various court rulings striking down their maps as unconstitutional. In Wisconsin, they were going to literally impeach a justice before she ruled on anything to prevent fair maps from being implemented. We have seen the Republican legislatures around the country in Alabama and in Louisiana and elsewhere act in bad faith around democracy issues. So will they act in bad faith about the pro-marijuana initiative? Absolutely. Will they act in bad faith about the pro-choice initiative in Ohio? Absolutely. We have come to expect that. And we need to understand that that's why I say democracy is on the docket, because ultimately we can no longer accept or expect that Republicans would act in good faith. We have to assume they'll act in bad faith, and that we need to go to court to ensure that these things take effect and that the will of the voter wills out.
Well, Marc, if you are a Republican and you don't care about the will of the voters, what is the incentive to not just pretend that the laws don't apply to you? Like, they can't be held personally liable for any of this. So what's the deterrent for them to keep these Republicans from chasing these anti-democratic stunts like they're doing right now?
Look, isn't this the big crisis of democracy today, right? What was the incentive to prevent Donald Trump and his allies from filing 65 lawsuits and losing 64 of them? Yeah. What was the incentive to Alabama and Louisiana abiding by the Supreme Court's rulings? What is the incentive around the country for Republican state legislators to not violate the Constitution in the suppression laws they passed? How about what is the incentive of Republican local election officials to certify election results? Right? We have seen election denialism. So we have a huge imbalance in this country in which one party, the Democrats, play by the rules and follow the rule of law and abide by the outcome of elections, whether they like them or not. And the other is a lawless party of Donald Trump that is racist, that is anti-democratic, and that does not respect the rule of law, whether it's his criminal trials, his civil trials, or these ballot initiatives. So it's a very dangerous time in America, which is why I started Democracy Docket, right? It's to be a resource so that people can be tracking and following all this stuff, but we all need to do our part. And thank you for episode number 50 of You and Me on the Rule of Law.
That's it. Well, thank you. And for anybody watching right now, I think all of what Marc just said underscores the importance of fighting these battles in the courtroom. I mean, we're reaching out to viewers where we can so that, in your living rooms, you can learn about this stuff. But obviously, Marc and his team are fighting these battles in the courts where it is so important. So again, to support Marc and his team, please make sure to sign up for Democracy Docket, the free news outlet he founded to focus on everything voting in elections. The link is right here on the screen. It's also in the post description of this video. Marc, again, congrats on episode 50. I'm Brian Taylor Cohen.
I should have brought a cake, but I'm Marc Elias.
This is Democracy Watch.